Hello everyone, welcome to Merida's 18th session out of her 100-day training challenge. Today I'm going to start incorporating more exercises that's going to engage her body, get her bending her hocks and her stifles and really lifting up her front end, her shoulders, and just kind of give her a good all-over workout. I'm going to let her investigate each of the exercise equipment so that way she's not afraid of it, and we're also going to do some touch stick play through them so that way she can incorporate it with something positive and enjoyable. This first element she's looking at is just a couple logs and then a couple really tiny poles. It offers different height of what she's going to need to do to lift her legs over the poles. And then I want her to take smaller steps, so those smaller poles in between is just to encourage that. The second element here is the little box that I create. I can do a couple different things with this, but I like to use this because it is giving the horse boundaries in which to work. So I kind of test what they know about boundaries. And then it's also just kind of like a fun little obstacle, if you will, and they can go forward and backward through this, so it tests their ability to listen as they're backing. And the tires add an interesting element to things. It also gets them lifting their legs. They really have to think about where they're placing their feet, works on balance and coordination. And then just some other random logs there, slightly different heights. And then of course we work at the mounting block a little bit. She just gets to go there and smell that for right now. We'll come back to that. Here I'm just working on getting her to stretch her neck using the touch pole technique. You can also just point to an area or have them follow a carrot to do these kind of stretches. But it's sometimes a little easier if I don't have to bend over or if I'm not too close. So that way she learns that, I don't have to be right there for her to do certain things. As you see, it's a little bit confusing for her, but that's okay because it kind of creates a little brain game and they have to figure out how to play the game. So anytime we can teach our horse to think through problems, it's really good. Just builds on their education, and then they learn how to start thinking for themselves, how to start working through problems without getting frustrated. So the more brain games we can do, the better. Want her to learn not to move her feet for that. So now that she's had a chance to explore the elements, she got a little bit of stretching in, a little brain game. Now we're going to go ahead and get the session really started. And I'm doing that by starting at the mounting block, since once I start riding, we're going to begin each session at the mounting block so I can get up there. So in each session at this point, we will be starting and ending at the mounting block, standing still. So up next, Merida had a little bit of an emotional moment. So that is her revert behavior, when she reverts back to a behavior that indicates stress for her. Since it was a very windy day, the other horses were further away than they normally are. She had a little bit of a moment when we were down closer to the other horses. But I'm really proud of her because this was immediately after that, and you see she came right back to being very calm, very cooperative, willing to try. And that's what all this training is about. It's about getting her to start having some emotional control, and for us to also get on a good communication level and be able to calm back down even when things do get a little stressful. So I was actually really happy with how she just went right back to work after this, and we didn't have any more issues. Now that we went through that element forward a couple of times, I'm now going to start introducing her to backing up through it. We're going to take it one section at a time for right now. It's going to really test her on where she's placing her feet while she's backing up. So again, that's a little bit of another brain game and coordination, because she can't step too far one way or the other, or she'll step over the pole and then she didn't play the game right. So we're just going to practice minimal steps at a time at each section for right now, and then later we'll be able to back her all the way through from one end to the other. So here's the element that she has to take short strides and lift her legs a little higher through. And it is varying height, so she does need to pay attention to how high she needs to pick up her legs. The other log exercise I have that is similar to this is a wider step. So she'll have to extend her stride a little bit longer as she's lifting her legs over the other set. So I like to make sure that we are doing exercises that encourage what could be collection down the road. So the shorter step or shorter, higher step, and then an exercise that's going to help extend her stride. So here's the opposite end up poles, and then the logs where she extends her stride a little bigger. Now I'm just using the wider set logs kind of as a barrier again to backing up. So we're on the center line right now, and I just want to work on getting a nice diagonal pair reverse. So you want to make sure the diagonal pair legs in reverse are going at the same time, just like they would in the trot. You want diagonal pairs moving in sync at the same time. So that's what I'm looking for when I'm backing a horse up also. So now we're practicing our dance moves and getting a little bit more in sync with each other. I don't want her to swing her rear end out, so I get her to put her butt back where it was and get straight. And then my goal is to stop before she swings her butt, and then to go ahead and start the other side. And we ran through that several times, and there were moments that weren't great where she kind of just walked off, but overall it is starting to get better. And I'm really excited to see where I can take things once we're in sync with going back and forth with each other. Now that we're near the end of our session, I'm asking her to do the accordion stretch. You'll see that her weight shifts back into her hind end, and then I get her to stretch her head and neck down with her nose out in front of the vertical, so she gets a nice stretch from her poll to her tail. This is the stretch that I was doing for the first time that sent her into like this trance state, which was really cool to see that she went into a relaxed state like that, because often when she gets in that trance zone, her head is up, her eyes are fixed, her ears are fixed, and she's dead set focused on something that's kind of freaking her out. So it's nice to see her relax in a way that is healthy and positive for her body. Now we're at the very end, so I'm going to end at the mounting block. I don't have the touch stick this time. I would like to set her up and have her stand still without that. I do have some Timothy pellets still to offer her. My goal is to get her to put her body where I need it, so that way when there's a saddle there, when I'm ready to get up there, she's comfortable offering her back in a way that is easy for me to mount so that it's more comfortable for her. And I want to make sure that I leave before she starts to walk away. So this final step I do pretty quickly. I get her stretching, coming down around me, get my arm over her. She gets a reward, and then I walk away and we end the session on a really positive note.